Master Yi changes were labeled as nerfs in the patch notes, but they've been the furthest from that. Yi was looking super OP, and as a result, Riot's had to push hotfix nerfs to try and combat his supremacy. We'll be breaking down all the emerging trends and giving you guys an update on the tier list thanks to the help of our challenger players and using the most up-to-date stats. But before we get into it, be sure to check out SkillCapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description below. Really important for those of you playing Urgot this patch to stop building Hullbreaker. 45% of Urgot players continue to rush the item and are losing a whopping 5% more than Titanic. Since Hullbreaker was nerfed for ranged, it's just not worth the pickup now. Urgot's win rate has suffered at the start of 12.5 due to people using a suboptimal build, but as long as you're building him correctly, he's still a great S tier top. The build you want to be running is Titanic Rush into Black Cleaver 2nd and Frostfire Gauntlet 3rd. Same thing in regards to Graves, guys. Stop building Hullbreaker and transition over to Eclipse. Eclipse into the Collector is performing exponentially better than Hullbreaker for 12.5 and should be the go-to build if you still want to run the Graves top. Hullbreaker nerfs did hit Graves much harder than Urgot though, so his position on the tier list remains in B. Other than that, nothing too crazy to report for top midway through the patch. Tryndamere, Shen, Garen, and Quinn remain our top carry options for the state of the solo queue meta. Kennen buffs haven't done anything to considerably increase his power level, so our original B tier placement stands up. Solo lane Karma is a pick starting to gain some more traction in recent patches. Lane phase is really free into all the melee bruisers being played, and you're always useful with the utility from Karma's kit. If your team locks Yi, picking Karma top and being his personal chauffeur can net you easy wins. In regards to the Gwen nerfs, they were targeted at hitting Gwen jungle, but top lane has suffered as well. We don't see very many nerfs to champions' attack range, so it can be hard to gauge the ramifications, but reducing Gwen's auto range when using E has turned out extremely negative. We would definitely recommend staying away for solo queue, as C tier is where Gwen is placed for mid-patch. Garen, Yorick, and Nasus are our top 3 low elo picks of the patch. Tryndamere, Fiora, and Darius are all great ban options. In typical Riot fashion, they tried nerfing a champion but actually ended up buffing them. Master Yi's win rate shot up to over 55%, as the change allowing Q to proc on hit effects was extremely influential, so much so that a few hotfix nerfs have already been pushed to live. Yi's base health was lowered from 599 to 550, Q AD ratio lowered from 60 to 50%, Q bonus damage from crits going from 50 to 35%, Q on hit damage was also lowered from 100% to 75%. E true damage was slightly lowered, while ultimate cooldown saw an increase at rank 1 going from 85 to 100 seconds. Yi has obviously taken a considerable hit due to these changes and is no longer the super OP pick he was at the start of the patch. As long as you're building on hit though, Yi is better than he was in 12.4, as we'll be adjusting his tier list placement from A into S for mid-patch. Anyone still building Duskblade in 12.5 should drop it immediately and transition over to Kraken for all games. As more and more players transition over to building Chemtank on Volibear, his win rate continues to rise. We briefly mentioned Chemtank Volley as a very underrated jungler in previous patches, and people are finally starting to pick up on it. The craziest thing about full tank Volley is that you're not lacking considerably in the damage department. PTA is run as the keystone for a nice damage amp, and the refuel passive from Chemtank adds a layer of upfront burst. Chemtank popped with ultimate available gives the enemy no chance at all in kiting your engage, which was an issue with Volley in the past. Complete core build to abuse is Chemtank into Deadman 2nd and Force of Nature 3rd. If you're looking for a jungler to escape low elo with in 12.5, Tank Volley is on top of our list and slots into S tier. Alright, Diana, Kha'Zix, and Hecarim rise above as the top 3 solo queue junglers. We'll have a full feature in tomorrow's video on Shyvana, but in short, look to abuse the new Frostfire demonic build before it catches fire. It's not until you actually play against the setup for the first time in solo queue where you really realize how insanely broken the build is. We were optimistic the Xin Zhao nerfs wouldn't hit him too bad, but it hasn't transpired that way. The ultimate nerf is what we underestimated, as 1 second lower in teamfights can make a huge difference, especially with how much damage is in the game right now. Xin moves down to B tier for mid-patch. If you're in the lower elos, Shyvana and Master Yi should be super high priority in 12.5, along with Volibear as a great third option. Master Yi, Diana, and Hecarim are all worthwhile bans for the state of the meta. As we expected, the Ahri nerfs were not enough to knock her off the pedestal as an OP mid for 12.5. She's no longer the clear-cut #1 mid laner, but her carry power remains extremely high. Other than the Ahri nerf, Riot didn't issue any other direct changes to mid lane, so 12.5 meta is very stable. We will be shuffling the OP tier around a little as Fizz and Veigar move up alongside Ahri. In previous patches, Ahri was so far ahead of everyone else, but with the nerfs, our analysts have her on a similar level as Fizz and Veig. Most undervalued mid right now has got to be Zilean, one of the few mids who is actually seeing highly positive results in both Ahri and Veigar. With Master Yi popping up a ton this patch as well, it's a ridiculous duo combo that is quite literally free wins. Zil isn't the most flashy champion, so he'll never get any insane recognition, but if you enjoy the sleeper OP picks, he's one to consider. Top 3 low elo mids you should be spamming are Veigar, Malzahar, and Annie. Vic, Kassadin, and Ahri are on top of the ban list for 12.5. Every single buff Samira had received over the past few months never translated into anything, but that's no longer the case this time around. 12.5 Samira buffs have led to a nice pop-up in strength as her skirmish powers become much stronger. Solo queue is all about being able to thrive in the chaotic situations, and with Samira ultimate cooldown being lowered by 3 seconds, it's helped her a lot. The base stat buffs added a little more durability for later on, which helps Samira dive into team fights like she wants to. Our analysts still rate Samira a cut below the likes of Jinx, Jhin, and Vayne, but a respectable S tier position is where you'll find her for mid-patch. In our pre-patch update, we told you guys to watch out for bot lane carry Seraphine, and that statement holds true for mid-patch as well. W and ultimate buffs were amazing and give Seraphine an extremely potent mid-game team fight. Just make sure you're maxing W out second instead of E. So far, 60% of bot lane Seraphine players continue to max E second, while the Savant W max players are winning at an alarming rate. Seraphine will rival Veigar and Ziggs as the strongest AP carry by moving from A into S tier for mid-patch. Jhin, Jinx, Vayne, and Veigar are the 4 most OP bot lane carries in 12.5. Riot August has made it very clear they intend to issue more nerfs to Zeri sometime in the near future. We're not sure if they will be hotfix nerfs or shipped out in a later patch, so be sure to keep an eye out. Zeri is a very strong S tier ADC for the time being, but that will likely change once the nerfs go live. Riot ended up throwing in a small quality of life buff for Misfortune, but it hasn't led to a shift in her overall power level. Best low elo bot lane carries include Veigar, Misfortune, and Ziggs. Highest value bans for the patch are Vayne, Zeri, and Jinx. If you're looking for a good answer to Renata Glask and don't want to waste a ban, Zyra does exceptionally well. Renata is the weakest against supports who have long range and strong burst potential. If you can lock Renata down with root from E, you can burst her by following with ultimate before she can provide anything for her team. Riot's making it pretty easy on us with these smaller patches, as we haven't needed to shift around many support picks in a while. Senna, Janna, Blitz, and Soraka lock down the OP tier slots, while Renata Glask trails right in behind. We have a really interesting new build to feature for Renata in tomorrow's video, so be sure to watch out for that. As we mentioned, Zyra is a great answer to Renata, but Xerath and Lux are also solid alternative options who can shut her down just as well. The Seraphine changes haven't been as impactful for the support role as they have been for bot lane carry. We bumped Seraphine into A tier in our pre-patch update, and that's where she will continue to be placed for the time being. Best low elo supports for the patch include Soraka, Blitzcrank, and Zyra. Renata Glask, Blitz, and Lulu are the most ban-worthy supports for 12.5. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So there you go everyone, a quick update on the meta as we reach the halfway point of the patch. Thank you all so much for watching, and we hope to see you back soon.